giving NJZ a comeback since we have nothing else to do. So my working title for this project is called Noting, a name derived from none other than Shakespeare's play Much Ado About Nothing. I plan for this album to thematically adapt quite a bit from this play, but the title Noting comes from one of many interpretations about the play's intended rhetoric. What meaning and significance can we pull from it today? So very quickly, Much Ado About Nothing is a play about a lot of things actually. It boils down to a story of romance, perception, and deception. Most of the play's conflict comes from the fact that people hear or perceive information out of context, causing the characters to fight and accuse each other of things that aren't true. Rumors and false pretenses lead the characters of this play to villainize the innocent, believe people to be dead when they're not, and much more. One of many interpretations is that Much Ado About Nothing is about the power of weaponizing false perception. So why is the proposed NJZ album called Noting? It's a reference to an interpretation and play on the title itself, quote, Much Ado About Noting, where we're talking about note as a verb, to notice or pay particular attention to something. The primary force that drives this play is simply people noticing things, perceiving events, and interpreting their meaning without much communication before arriving at a personal conclusion and deciding to act upon it. Most of the play's conflicts could have been avoided completely if people just simply spoke with each other honestly, but there is something to say about personal matters that may not benefit from being shared with the public at all times. A driving force in the plot of this play is the want to be known favorably, a concern over how others perceive you, the want to be understood, right? This is often what causes us to overshare in order to get people on our side, but unfortunately, that same sharing of information can be used against us by people with bad intentions. The conceptual hashtag I'm adding with this album is #ListenToNewJeans, another double meaning play on simply listening to their music, as well as listening to what the members have to say, allowing them to speak their minds. And with all of these sentiments in mind, the Noting EP will consist of 3 songs that narratively discuss the importance of perception. I plan for this album to be released in July as a summer-themed album. I want it to be a conceptual surprise release, so in the final week of June, Minji announces out of nowhere in a phoning message that the first single will be coming next month on July 21st. The next day, Haein tweets from the official NewJeans account that the single will release on July 24th, and Danielle makes an Instagram post with a caption that reads that she can't wait for the first single to be released on July 28th. Hani makes a TikTok video on the last day of June that she loves the new single and can't wait for fans to listen to it on August 2nd. Later the same day as Hani's TikTok, closer to midnight in Korea, Hayden brings up the conflicting dates in a group chat on phoning. The members engage in a fake argument about who is right about the release date, asking who told them what day it was and why they were so confident with that answer when it's actually not true. The group settles the argument by realizing that there was never a set release date and decide to release the first single a couple of hours later at midnight in Korea on July 1st. The lead single and first track of the album is Noticed I Cried, originally by Pink Pantheress. This song will function as the intro to the album's narrative, outlining a relationship that has long ended. Our narrator doesn't feel the pain of being mistreated anymore, but still sees the memories of what all happened as some kind of burden that she carries with her today. This song also conveniently portrays the album's leading sentiment, did you note that I cried, or did you notice I cried, but only just a little bit. Our narrator doesn't seem to be torn over the loss of this relationship, asks if this person thought that they really mattered, inferring towards a new understanding that has replaced the importance of this person by the end of the EP. The music video for Noticed I Cried takes place in a school auditorium setting, functioning more like a performance video. In my mind, it's like an indie film portrayal of a school play. It's the members dressed in Shakespearean timely period piece outfits, performing in a play called February Face, which is another reference to Much Ado About Nothing. The members seem distressed as they act out several scenes. Frames of audience interactions seem to indicate that people are taking the plot of this play very literally. Some people are crying by the lines delivered, frustrated, visibly taken aback, and offended by the actions of the characters. Hani, importantly, plays the role of a woman named Hiro in this story, and is accused of being unfaithful to the play's character Claudio, the man Hiro is intended to be married to. The play is interrupted several times by rowdy audience members, security having to prevent some patrons from trying to get on stage, and demanding that Hiro apologize for what she's been accused of. The video ends with Hani fainting from the pressure, the other members rushing to her aid as the audience leaves the auditorium quite angrily. So this is the first single, and the Noting EP is released 1 week later. The The lead single released with the album is Losing You, originally sung by Solange. The song deals with topics of perception, as our narrator is left alone with her thoughts, having to trust her own understanding of what happened in a relationship, and is pleading the love interest to be honest with her. Is she really in the process of losing this person for good? She eventually admits that she doesn't know why she fights the demise of this relationship. Clearly things didn't work out, and it's well past any kind of redemption for either of them. But even still, our narrator dwells on matters unsettled in which her character has been implicated. Quote, "I'm not the one you should be making your enemy." The music video for Losing You will take place in the same town and beach as their debut Attention. I think returning to this setting with different color grading and atmosphere would really drive the concept of the album home. Where originally NewJeans were looking for attention, they're now looking to be perceived in a different way. They simply want to be understood this time, seen for who they are and their intentions, which as time has revealed is not an easy thing to do. Similar to Solange's music video, directed by Melina Matsoukas, I want the video to have a similar blue wash in terms of color, subdued tones to help the song in capturing the desperation that comes with the summertime. It's meant to capture the invitation to spend the summer outside in the hot weather, the ocean side, and playing at the beach as a community event, but our narrators in this story are so trapped inside their own head that the beach and summertime feels more like winter. I like the concept of the members all living in an oceanside town who've become so disenfranchised by the world around them and how much it has changed that the idea of going to the beach as they have before inspires a sense of apathy. They sit on the wooden steps that lead to the beach, witnessing the pushing and pulling of the shore, crashing waves in the distance, the pelicans flying above, all symbolic and painful reminders of freedom and autonomy. The coldness of the beach, even in the summer, helps invite the feelings of isolation that are typically associated with winter. It is a feeling that creeps in for those who are idle and sit by themselves. It's about being invited to the celebration, but still feeling as though you don't belong. The members pass by the shops they visited in Attention, looking through the clothes, but nothing seems to be standing out as it did before. The town has changed so much in the 3 years it's been since Attention. Nothing really resonates as simply nor profoundly as it did before. The final song on the EP is Doin Time, originally by Sublime, but instrumentally the version sung by Lana Del Rey. And in the hypothetical reality where this album exists, it's credited as a cover of the Sublime song. Doin Time discusses themes of being trapped in a toxic relationship and how emotionally draining it can be. So interestingly, Lana sings the lyrics originally as they are, in a way where you can infer that she may actually be playing the role of the unfaithful woman this song is originally about, just singing from the man's perspective. What's important about this is that none of the lyrics are changed. None of these sentiments are altered from her own perspective. Perhaps the narrator stands by the way she's been characterized by this man, or has reached a point where she sees no value in changing the opinion of someone who is already set in their ways. There's no need to alter the man's perception, to change his mind, or provide more context to the demise of this emotionally draining relationship. It's gotten so bad to the point that it feels like they're doing time. This relationship functions more like a jail sentence. So we end this EP with the understanding that our narrators don't need to do anything to convince people they aren't villains, which in turn completes a narrative idea presented by the reference to Much Ado About Nothing with the music video of the first song. The music video of Doin Time sees the members walking around Attention's beach town, still dressed as the characters in February face. This time they're being perceived by people of the town. People make passing remarks and insults towards the members, but our narrators now seem oddly at peace with all that has happened. It doesn't matter that the town seems to hate them. They've managed to find some kind of joy that matches the spark felt at their debut. Hani importantly plays the role of Hiro, a female character in Much Ado About Nothing who is accused of being unfaithful to Claudio. It was an untrue rumor to begin with, but the problem is that there's nothing Hiro can do necessarily that would absolve her from these claims. Speaking to advocate for herself often does more damage, and for an incredibly significant reason. Hiro eventually collapses under the pressure of accusation, leading to a widespread belief that she has died, to which Claudio exclaims that if she had been unfaithful, he would rather her be dead than to be disgraced. The rhetorical significance of this moment and Hiro as a character in the story is that her usefulness as a pawn to push the agenda of other characters often overshadows and limits her own agency as a person. Hiro is not perceived as valuable if she does not conform to societal expectations. In fact, Hiro never really comes into her own by the end of this play. She is always treated more like an object that has no significance if she isn't seen as favorable in the eyes of society. The play ends by kind of affirming this sentiment, and so this is where Doin Time comes in, a song that exists to rework the narrative and establish more autonomy to the person that is Hiro. NJZ sings from the perspective of Claudio on the song, making no effort to recontextualize or disprove his claims of unfaithfulness. It does not matter to them in the end to be seen as reputable in the eyes of people who genuinely only see them as objects. A final refrain section of the song reads, evil. We've come to tell you that she's evil, most definitely. NJZ co-signs to this narrative, doesn't need the approval of society around them, and leaves the town having done nothing to dispel the rumors of their own villainhood. In this way, Hiro is allowed to take back her own autonomy as a person, and cuts herself off from those who would only see her in good standing to be used like a pawn. And yeah, this is my idea for a conceptual EP comeback from NJZ. I'm definitely sure there could be more than 3 songs to help, flesh out this narrative. These are just 3 songs that I think develop a beginning, middle, and end to the primary narrative about autonomy and perception. All of that being said, please let me know what you think about this. Is there anything you'd change about this EP, its narrative, or any songs with similar or extending narratives that you'd like to add, and things like that? Yeah, thanks for watching this. If you did, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time.